July 31st here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with these stories making the headlines at this hour. Starting with South Korea continuing its medal-winning streak at the Paris Olympics. Team Korea has picked up the bronze medal in the mixed doubles table tennis, bringing home the country's first ping pong medal in 12 years. And South Korea has added one more bronze in judo, with Lee Jun-hwan defeating the world #1 from Belgium. Israel has targeted Lebanon's capital Beirut on Tuesday and says its strike killed Hezbollah's most senior military commander, who was blamed for the deadly attack in the Golan Heights over the weekend. Lebanon's Prime Minister Najib Mikati called Israel's strike a clear violation of international law. Following the official end of annual monsoon season, most parts of the country are now under a heat wave warning. The temperature will feel like it's 35 degrees Celsius across the country. South Korea wrapped up day 4 of the Paris Olympics with 2 bronze medals in mixed table tennis and the men's under 81 kilogram judo. Now, the third place finish in mixed table tennis also marked the country's first in the sport in 12 years. Our Lee Seung-jae starts us off.
It took 12 years, but South Korea finally added an Olympic medal in table tennis. It was in mixed doubles with Shin Yoo-bin and Im Jong-hoon, ending the long drought by winning bronze. The Shin-Lim duo defeated Wang Chun-ting and Du Hoi-kem of Hong Kong in straight sets 4-0, winning their first career Olympic medals. The two fought for the third-place finish after falling short against the top-seeded mixed pair from China in Wang Chu-chin and Sun Yun-cha during the semifinals on Monday. The podium finish for Shin and Lim also allowed for a brief and rare Olympic moment where the South Koreans greeted and congratulated North Korean silver medalists Lee Jong-sik and Kim Geum-young. South Korea added another bronze medal on Tuesday, this time in the men's under 81 kilogram judo competition. Lee Jun-hwan became the world's third best under 81 kilogram judoka after defeating third in the world ranked Belgian judoka Matthias Kasse. Scoring a waza-ari or half point just 48 seconds into the sudden death extra period, Lee secured South Korea's second Paris Olympic medal in judo. Despite being his first Olympics, and despite being just 2 years away from his senior career, Lee expressed slight disappointment and vowed to train harder so that he can win an Olympic gold in Los Angeles in 2028. But the future is bright for the 22-year-old judoka, who the International Judo Federation has even nicknamed Lightning Man, saying he's so fast that he can win a match before the player introduction is over. Meanwhile, in their first ever final of an Olympic swimming relay competition on Tuesday, the South Korean men's 4x100-meter freestyle relay team finished 6th. The 4-member team of Yang Jae-hoon, Lee Ho-jun, Kim Woo-min, and Hwang Sun-woo finished with a final time of 7 minutes 7.26 seconds. Kim had earlier won a bronze medal in the men's 400 meters. With the 2 bronze medals on Tuesday, South Korea is now ranked 5th in the medal standing with 5 gold, 3 silver, and 3 bronze. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Israel has responded to last Saturday's attack that killed Israeli children on a football field by hitting a target in the Lebanese capital, Beirut. It says it targeted a Hezbollah commander in the Beirut airstrike. Choi Soo-hyung reports.
On Tuesday afternoon, local time, the Israeli military carried out a retaliatory airstrike in Beirut, the capital of Lebanon. This was in response to the bombing of a football field in the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights on July 27th, which killed 12 children. The Israeli airstrike hit the southern suburb of Beirut, targeting a commander of Hezbollah, an Iran-backed militant group who Israel says was behind the football field bombing. Lebanese media reported that the airstrike killed 1 person and injured 68 others. Shortly after the Beirut airstrike, Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant posted on X that Hezbollah has crossed the red line. The Israel Defense Forces stated that the targeted commander Fuad Shukur, a senior military advisor to Hezbollah's leader, was killed in the Beirut airstrike. There are concerns that this airstrike could escalate into a full-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah. The United States news agency CNN reported that Israel informed the U.S. before the Beirut attack. Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati strongly condemned the attack, calling it a clear violation of international law. The international community is responding to prevent an escalation. The United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, peacekeeping forces under the UN, are communicating with both Lebanon and Israel to prevent any escalation. White House spokesperson Karine Jean-Pierre said that a war between Israel and Hezbollah is not inevitable. Hyang, Arirang News.
Tomorrow, August 1st, marks the 300th day of the armed conflict between Israel and Hamas-led Palestinian militant groups, which has unfolded into one of the deadliest wars in Gaza. With the war appearing to be nowhere near an end, tensions are now also mounting over in Beirut. For more, we're joined by Dr. Baek-soon this morning. Welcome back.
Hello, pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me on the news.
Of course. Israel has staged an airstrike in southern Beirut that it says it targeted a senior commander in the Lebanese armed group Hezbollah. We could see this coming, didn't we?
Following the Golan Heights Mazd al-Sham's attack, Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu visited the town on Sunday and promised a severe response. And then at least 3 Israeli attacks were executed on Lebanese territory since, killing more than 500 people, which targeted a senior commanders in Lebanese Hezbollah. But yes, we knew it was coming. Mm-hmm. But apart from the Netanyahu's hardline rhetoric over the attack in the Golan Heights, public opinion of both sides is still eager to avoid war. So in military strategy standpoint, at witness and beginning of Fourth Arab-Israel War in 1970s, opening up another front will create long stretch defense line for Israel Defense Force, especially as it continues to fight Hamas in Gaza and bombardment of their enclaves is still ongoing. Waging another full-scale war with Hezbollah in their northern border, which is southern part of Lebanon, will create many problems to IDF. So tension is rising, but we need to be more cautious about possibility of expansion of war at this point.
Definitely. What's notable is that no one wants a full-scale war. That includes Lebanon. Now, Lebanon says it's been reassured that Israel's attack will be limited. The question is, where is this reassurance coming from?
Israeli official told Reuters on Monday that while Israel wants to demolish Hezbollah, it does not want to drag the Middle East into all-out war. That's why they are currently executing airstrike instead of sending ground troops. So Hezbollah also said that they are ready for war if necessary to many media outlets by saying whether it is limited or not, the group will respond. But the Hamas has also displayed their thoughts that they are wary of full-scale conflict. And it is clear that there's not much incentive to both sides to go on a full-scale war. So full-scale war is, on this point, is not that high. Possibility of the full-scale war to break out is not that high.
But what would it mean if the Gaza war, eventually, fully spreads to Lebanon, especially now that the war has, already lasted 300 days?
So, yes, a full-scale war between Israel and Hezbollah would have consequences that thwart the current Gaza conflict. So if a major Israel air and ground assault against Hezbollah happens, that the most heavily armed group in the Middle East would likely cause turmoil across the entire region and prove particularly destabilizing, very destabilizing as the United States enters a crucial stage of its presidential election season. So most worrisome fact is that it is far from clear that such war could be ended quickly, or that there is a clear path to a decisive victory. So, having said that, since such war could not be ended quickly, or that there is no clear path to decisive victory, it will bring uncertainty in the global choke point of logistic and energy resources, and the impact on global economy will be massive.
Well, like you mentioned, the U.S. is on a frantic diplomatic push following, Israel's attack. Now that President Joe Biden is out of the presidential race, do you think Biden will have, less pressure or even, obligations regarding the Israel-Hamas war, or no? Would it be the same?
Never say never, but for this time being, no. So because apart from the discussion whether the diplomatic mission of the U.S. to tame the Israel will be successful or not, it is not only Biden's choice to de-escalate the tension in the Middle East. It is more of a collective decision of U.S. government and Congress. And not only the pivot to Asia doctrine of Biden or Obama, or nor America first doctrine of Trump, neither of them wants the escalation of the tension or outbreak of the war in the Middle East, since both of them wanted to focus their resources, U.S. resources, more on other agendas. So the United States is leading a diplomatic dash to prevent Israel from striking Lebanon capital Beirut or country major civil infrastructure in response to deadly rocket attack on Masdal Sham. So in my point of view, and it's not just my point of view, but most of the experts are kind of like waging their opinions on, Biden administration will make an effort to de-escalate the tension in Israel, whether it will be a successful mission or not.
And it's not just the U.S. Iran has also spoken up, especially the Iranian president. He warned Israeli forces will suffer heavy consequences if it does, if it eventually did, but if it does go ahead with attacking targets in Lebanon. Why does Iran and its new president care so much about here?
We have to talk about this first. I mean, Iran does not recognize Israel and has made support for Palestinian cause and Hezbollah of Lebanon as a counterpiece of its foreign policy since the 1979 Islamic Revolution. So we could say the current president, newly elected president, is in line with that traditional stance. And as we all know, Pezeshkian is reformist, but if we look back to his presidential campaign strategy, he focused on economic recovery and domestic reformation against conservative establishment. So, of course, not the whole theocracy system of Iran. So in order to achieve his goal, he has to limit his battlefield with the conservative reactionaries. It is not Pezeshkian who cares this current issue, but we have to consider inner power struggle to the context as well, because he really wants to focus his domestic battlefield rather than expand the thing. So that's why he's coping with the rhetoric of like conservative. So I will not going to go on make a confrontation with this thing. And on the top of that, yesterday was the inauguration. Yesterday, Iran held inauguration ceremonies of Pezeshkian, the current leadership. Then it was attended by high officials from Hamas, Hezbollah, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and Houthis. He has to send a favorable message to them. So we have to put all this in the context to understand why Pezeshkian is making this, sending this message officially.
Right, speaking from the political and historic context. All right, Dr. Beck, thank you so much for connecting with us this morning. We appreciate it.
A pleasure is mine.
The latest polls show that U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris is maintaining her slight lead against presidential rival Donald Trump. A three-day poll conducted by Reuters and Ipsos on over 1,000 American adults showed that 43% of registered voters supported Harris, while 42% supported former President Trump, within the poll's margin of error of 3.5 percentage points. Now, in the same poll a week earlier, Harris had a 2 percentage point lead over Trump. The poll also showed that respondents preferred Trump's stance on the economy, immigration, and crime, while having favorable views on Harris in healthcare. Now, Harris is set to be officially nominated as the Democratic presidential candidate during the party's national convention next month. President Yoon says that South Korea's nuclear power industry will further gain momentum now under proper legal protection. The grand pledge comes as the country is set to work with the Czech Republic on the latter's nuclear energy project. Our Kim Do-yeon has more.
At the first cabinet meeting following South Korea being selected as the preferred bidder for the Czech Republic's nuclear energy project, President Yoon Suk-yeol said on Tuesday he wants to lay a strong foundation to build on from this for more projects around the world, with a special law dedicated to the industry.
원전 산업 지원 특별법을 제정하고 원전 생태계 복원과 수출 지원 정책을 더욱 강력하게 그리고 일관되게 추진해서 앞으로 제3, 제4의 수주가 이어지도록 다 함께 노력합시다.
The project, he says, was only possible as the current administration had chosen to foster the industry after the former administration had declared an exit from nuclear power. And the news, he says, has allowed South Korea to have a strong footing in the global nuclear reactor market. This new project is worth 24 trillion Korean won, or $17.4 billion for 2 new reactors at the Dukovany nuclear power plant. President Yoon also said he will be visiting the country, quote, as soon as possible to discuss with his Czech counterpart a successful completion of the contract signing while discussing expanding cooperation between the two countries as a whole. In the meantime, President Yoon also explained that the new tax revision proposed by the government last week focuses on boosting the economy and supporting the lives of citizens through lowering corporate tax rates and expanding investment tax credits.
기업의 투자가 늘어야 일자리가 늘고 경제의 온기가 돕니다. 국가 전략 기술에 대한 세제 혜택을 연장하고 투자를 늘린 기업에 대해 법인세 감면 혜택도 확대할 것입니다.
The tax revisions also include expanding tax-free inheritance from the current 50 million Korean won to 500 million, or around $360,000. Yoon said the current system does not reflect the economic status of the nation, and so he had requested that the National Assembly discuss the proposed changes. However, the opposition-led parliament is unlikely to accept all the changes, and this remains a hurdle for the government. Meanwhile, wrapping up the meeting, President Yoon also reminded everyone to take all necessary measures to combat disasters such as heat waves, typhoons, and floods, as South Korea is currently under heat alerts following weeks of monsoon rains. He called on relevant agencies to ensure there were no casualties. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
There's a saying, the greatest treasures are often hidden in the most unexpected places. Now, if you're looking to discover hidden talent in Asia's art scene, this is a place you might want to explore. Our culture correspondent Song Yu-jin tells us more.
This bright red building used to be the home of the National Theatre Company of Korea. Although it's currently closed for renovation, it has temporarily reopened as a gallery to showcase the work of promising young artists in Asia. This is the 2024 Asian Students and Young Artists Art Festival, or ASIAF, Korea's largest arts festival for emerging artists. This year, the festival is part of something even bigger. This year, it is launching the Culture Ministry's first Korea Art Festival, which officially starts in September. This festival puts ASIAF alongside the Gwangju and Busan Biennale's Seoul Art Week, Kiaf Seoul, and Freeze Seoul.
I have high hopes for young artists as their work tends to be freer, more experimental, and more fearless. This exhibition might give us a glimpse into the future of our art industry 10 or 20 years down the line.
For many participants, this festival marks the start of their professional journey as artists. The first step is always special, but ASIAF offers an even more unforgettable experience. These young talents handle everything themselves, from setting up their work on these white walls to selling and shipping their pieces to buyers. The process can be challenging, but it is a memorable chapter of their careers.
At my first Asia, I saw the painting of a turtle. The buyer had a pet turtle that passed away between buying my work and receiving it. They said they would cherish the painting, which touched my heart and made me feel they found the right home. That experience inspired me to participate again this year. Art fairs like this give us a chance to sell our work and get motivation.
For visitors, it's a chance to discover hidden talent and purchase unique pieces that connect with them at affordable prices.
I majored in art at university, but I didn't end up becoming an artist. Even so, I still have a strong passion for art. The pieces by these young artists are definitely bolder in terms of ideas and colors. I decided to buy a piece that resonated with the quiet, tranquil lifestyle I want.
The 2024 Asia-Off runs at the old Baekchang Theater near the Seoul train station until August 25th. 송유진, Arirang News.
Good morning, I'm Kim Si-young, and this is The World Now. Mass protests broke out in the Venezuelan capital, Caracas, on Tuesday, following the disputed results of the country's presidential election, where President Nicolas Maduro claimed a re-election victory. Now, several deaths were reported, while Attorney General Tarek Saab said that 749 people had been detained, but that number may rise further. Saab stated that several detainees are being charged with public intimidation, inciting hatred, and in some cases terrorism. He also said that 48 officials, including members of the military and police, have been injured, some by gunfire. While the country's defense minister described the protests as a coup, the use of tear gas and rubber bullets alarmed the international community, with the United Nations Human Rights Chief Volker Turk saying that he is extremely concerned and alarmed by reports of disproportionate use of force by law enforcement officials. Nicolas Maduro, who has ruled Venezuela for a quarter century, claimed he'd won a third term with 51% of the vote on Sunday, while independent exit polls showed a big opposition win. Moving over to India and its southern state of Kerala, where at least 123 people have been killed and dozens are still feared to be trapped after heavy rains collapsed hillsides and triggered massive landslides. Rescue work began in Kerala's Wayanad district in the early hours of Tuesday, where torrents of mud, water and boulders tumbled down, sweeping through the tea estates and villages. Local authorities reported that the hillsides near the village of Mundakai gave up after midnight following torrential rain on Monday. The Wayanad district of Kerala state is one of India's most popular tourist destinations. Most of the victims were reportedly tea estate workers and their families who were asleep. Tuesday's landslides in Kerala were the worst in the Indian state since 2018, when heavy floods killed around 400 people. Washington's top diplomatic and defense envoys have announced $500 million in military funding to boost the Philippines' defenses and the proposed military intelligence sharing pact, as the two allies renewed their shared concerns over China's aggression in the region, especially the South China Sea. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin on Tuesday met with the Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr., who held the very open communication lines between Washington and Manila, while stressing the need for a U.S. military presence in the region for stability and peace. The funding will be used to assist with the ongoing modernization of the Philippine military and Coast Guard, while $125 million from the package will go towards improving the Philippine military bases set to be occupied by U.S. forces under the 2014 Enhanced Defense Cooperation. The organizers of the Paris 2024 Olympic Games will decide in a few hours at 4 a.m. Wednesday local time whether this year's Olympic triathlons can proceed in the French capital's River Seine on Wednesday. The men's triathlon was postponed on Tuesday due to pollution levels in the Seine, despite France's efforts to make the river swimmable as a key legacy of the Games, spending €1.4 billion on wastewater infrastructure in preparation. According to Paris 2024 organizers, the decision whether Olympic athletes can swim in the Seine will be made using a sample taken on Tuesday at 5 a.m. local time, which is expected to be decent as the weather remains sunny while storms are forecast overnight. An expert says that the river water quality will not be good enough for swimming after the relatively heavy rain. The men's triathlon has been tentatively rescheduled for Wednesday 10:45 a.m. local time, following the women's event at 8 a.m.
Good morning. Following the end of the monsoon season, Korea is in the grip of simmering heat. Those of us in the capital area can't complain too much, as those in Gyeongsang-do provinces are enduring more intense heat. Daegu will see a high of 37 degrees Celsius this afternoon. And burning sunshine continues to bake Korea. With Jeju forecast to see extreme levels of UV rays, make sure to protect yourself against sunburn today. Drink plenty of water, avoid spending time outdoors during the hottest parts of the day, and take it easy. I'm sure it's been weeks since getting some decent sleep due to the warm nights. Seoul has been under tropical nights for 10 consecutive days, and this afternoon we'll get up to 33 degrees Celsius, Gwangju topping out at 34. Sweaty days and nights continue for the time being, so please take well care. With that in mind, let's take a look at the international weather conditions.
We thank you for watching New Day at Arirang. Next up is News Generation.